Hi, Suzy Rhoades with PassMasters, here with this week's questions of the week. This week, our topic is ownership and estate planning techniques. You can expect to find this topic on the Series 65 and Series 66 exams. We will be taking a 10-question topic quiz from within one of our PassMasters securities programs. Let's check out our learning management system. Which type of trust can only distribute the income earned in a given year, but not any principal? Choices include living, testamentary, complex, or simple. You choose what you believe is the correct answer, simple trust. You click check answer, you get the green check mark if it is correct. It is a simple trust that can only distribute the earnings for that year. It is not allowed to distribute any of the corpus. Corpus is the body of the trust or the assets in the trust. You can click show explanation and you can read the answer. You can also listen. So all of our questions have audio explanations. When a will lists beneficiaries per capita, what does that mean? Per person, preferential, representational, or primary? Per capita is per person or per head type of beneficiary designation. The body of a trust is called the corpus, remainderman, assets, or donor. The body of a trust is called the corpus, the assets in the trust. Corpus of the trust. Corpus is Latin for body. Rose and Sarah are investing in a brokerage account together. They would both like to be able to place trades, and when one of them dies, they would like the ownership to pass to the survivor. Which type of account would be appropriate for them? Individual account in Rose's name with Sarah listed as POD, joint tenants in common, joint tenants with right of survivorship, or tenancy by the entirety. So there's a couple of key things happening in here. They both want to be able to place trades, and then when one of them dies, they want the ownership to pass to the survivor. Joint tenants with right of survivorship would be the appropriate type of account for them. David has a $1 million life insurance policy naming his sons Chris and Anthony as primary beneficiaries and his daughter Samantha as contingent. If Chris should predecease David, who will receive the $1 million death benefit? Is there any primary beneficiaries left? Yes. Anthony is still listed as primary beneficiary, so 100% of the $1 million will go to Anthony. The only way that the daughter Samantha would receive the money would be if both Chris and Anthony predeceased David. Philip has a will leaving all of his assets to his son Marco. He has $25,000 in a bank account with a TOD naming his brother Mark. Which statement is correct in the event of Philip's death? The assets are split 50-50 between Marco and Mark. The $25,000 in the bank account goes to Mark. The rest of his assets will go to Marco. All of his assets go to Mark, or the will overrides the TOD and Marco gets everything. In fact, the TOD overrides the will. So the $25,000 in the bank will go to his brother Mark, and the rest of the assets will go to his son Marco. Jesse has 2 sons, Carl and John. Carl has 2 kids and John has 4. Jesse's will leaves her assets to her boys per capita. Carl predeceases Jesse. How will Jesse's assets be distributed upon her death? Well, let's see. Carl and John were listed per capita, which stands for per person or per head. Carl is no longer alive, so 100% of the assets will go to John. The document that governs the distribution of your assets after death is called a note, document, will, or notice. It is called a will. If a person dies without a will, all of the following are true, except which is false if a person dies without a will. The assets will go through probate. That is true. The assets will be given to the oldest child. That doesn't seem right. The decedent died intestate. That is true. The state will name an administrator. So a will would name an executor. The state will name an administrator. So B, the assets will be given to the oldest child, is not true. That's a false statement. It is the state laws of intestacy where the assets are located that will determine who receives the decedent's assets. Jesse has 2 sons, Carl and John. Carl has 2 kids and John has 4. Jesse's will leaves her assets to her grandkids per stirpes. If Jessie had $1,800,000 in assets after her death, how much money will each grandchild receive? So how many grandkids are there? There are 6 grandkids, but how many children did Jessie have? Only 2. So because we have a per stirpes, that stands for representational or down the pipe, you have to follow the money through Carl and John. So we have 1.8 million, so 900,000 for each, although John and Carl aren't getting the money, but it's going to their children. So Carl has less children than John. So Carl's kids each get half of 900,000. So $450,000 each of Carl's kids. And then the $900,000 has to be divided by 4 grandkids at the John side of the family tree. So each of John's kids will receive $225,000 each. If Jessie had wanted those kids to receive the money equally, she would have wanted a per capita designation at the grandchildren level. That concludes a little bit about ownership and estate planning techniques. If you have any questions, just ask me in the comments below. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and turn those notifications on. If you'd like to check out our PassMasters course offerings or to enroll in any of our programs, there is a link found in this video's description. Keep up the good work. I hope to have you as a student soon. Happy studies.
You got this.